I'm just going to start off by saying I absolutely adored Thelma. I watched it in my home and I was smiling throughout the entire thing. It is so feel good. It is so like in another better word, badass. It's just a brilliant movie. Fred, I just want
Uh,
to start with you. June is just so incredible in this. And I feel for like you both have this amazing chemistry that really felt like you had a familial connection, which is lovely. How did you go about bonding with her on set? How was it, kicking off that relationship together?
Well, we're really friends now, and we became friends pretty quickly. I, it's she's a very easy person to love and care about. So, yeah, we met a few weeks before we started filming. Um, she invited me over, introduced me to her two cats who are incredible both. One's a very gregarious walking around cat. The other one's super duper shy, but I saw him a little bit. And yeah, we became real friends. I think Danny and Thelma's relationship is the most grounded and fundamental part of Danny's life. That's maybe one of the only things that doesn't bring him a kind of anguish or indecision. It's like the only thing that he knows for sure in a way. Um, and so I always felt that friendship was so fundamental and it wasn't very difficult. It doesn't require much work. That's the thing that comes so easy, and that's based on who Thelma is. That's based on who June is. That's based on who the real Thelma is to Josh. It's all of these women, character and real life put together, create that relationship.
I love that. And in particular, I felt like the whole technological miscommunication of trying to get your grandmother to understand what to do on Facebook is so relatable. I was watching it being like, I've been in this scene 500 times. Did you find that? Did you find that yourself? Were you like almost pulling out your hair trying to figure it out?
Well, the funny thing is, I'm like an old person with computers. Like June is probably better at the phone than I am. Like I'm constantly don't know. I'm like amazed that the Zoom even works. I never know how to do these things.
Amazing. And you seem like again, you just had like the most amazing time together. It seemed really, really fun. Was there a chance to kind of like improv together or like just have, those moments together on set that were kind of a bit more of you guys sort of playing and messing around with it a little bit?
The script is so perfect that I don't think we improvised all that much. But I will say acting with June is even when it's to the word perfect, even when it's doing exactly what the script says, it's there's something so surprising, and because of how real and believable and complex she is as a performer, even when she's saying the exact word, I did feel like it was constantly a kind of play that surprised me. Who the most improv was probably with the great Ruben Rabassa,
yeah.
um, from I Think You Should Leave fame, among other things. He uh he's I'd say one of the only people that added a couple great lines in there.
Amazing. And Josh, I just wanted to move on to you because obviously this is based on your own grandmother, who's just seems again so just incredible and so fun and so cool. Can you walk me through sort of the process of you deciding to take her story and kind of put it on the big screen? What was that moment like for you?
Yeah, basically she fell for a scam call very similar to the one in the movie where someone called pretending to be me saying they were in jail and they had a broken nose and pretty much all of that beat for beat. And luckily in real life, panic did spread throughout my family, but luckily we were able to intervene before she actually sent the money. But it sort of just got me thinking because she was at this weird moment in her life where she'd lived with my grandpa for 70 odd years and he had passed away a few years prior, and this was the first moment she was living alone and kind of relishing some of that independence and some of that autonomy, but also one of the first times she was starting to really show her age, kind of in the second half of her 90s. And by show her age, I mean she was still driving, she was still living alone, but there were little things that were starting to kind of crop up. And so when this happened, it sort of shook me up to see her taken advantage of in that way and got me thinking about that moment and wanting to write something that was essentially an ode to her spirit and her grit and her tenacity. And that I started imagining what might have happened if she had sent the money and had set out to get it, and it became an excuse to write something to that effect and sort of imagine her revenge journey as she was sort of looking to cling on to that moment she was in, and also starting to accept the fact that she was entering a new one. And so all of that was kind of swirling around in my head as I was starting to write it. But really, the scam itself was what sort of sparked the idea and got me kind of going down that road.
Grandma!
Hello?
Grandma, it's me. Can you hear me?
Danny?
I got into an accident.
What are you saying? You got into an accident. What happened?
I'm in jail.
You're in jail. Oh, my God.
A woman, she was pregnant, and I don't know what's happening, but they're holding me here.
But you sound so strange.
I feel like as well, it's one of those very rare movies that being elderly isn't the joke or the pun or the catchline, anything like that. Was it important for you to have that kind of be the main crux? Because it felt very refreshing to see, I must admit.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that. It was. I think tone was always a really, really delicate thing and a really important thing to me and to all of us, which is I think why we felt like we were all swimming in the same direction with this, because I wanted the fact that she's the age she is to be something that we could mine some pathos from, and humor and excitement and all of those things, but never to feel like it was the butt of the joke, never to feel like we're punching down or poking fun, as much as kind of leaning into the fact that, at a certain age, when your body doesn't do exactly what you want it to, that becomes the challenge, and that becomes sort of an existential threat to your way of life and your sense of self. And I think that was sort of the mechanism by which the movie functioned. And to my mind, it's like if we ever tipped too broad or cut wide to reveal what she's doing actually it looks small and dinky, like that would be kind of unraveling the fabric of the movie, because the movie's about leaning into that and kind of getting into her subjective experience and watching her push through it and finding fun in that and humor, but also finding tension and sort of determination. So that was always top of mind, and I'd say kind of a delicate needle to thread through each step of the process. But it was definitely a very conscious one to be mindful of.
Amazing. And I wanted to ask about this because there's so much Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible through this movie. It feels like it could be a Mission Impossible movie at times. What was the decision behind that? Was there always kind of the idea that you would have a cruise element to it? Is he aware of this? I love the thanks at the end, by the way.
He's definitely aware, to the point that he gave us permission to use that Mission Impossible footage. So which we were thrilled with, because you never know with that kind of thing. We sent him a clip of the table read of that scene, and I think that scene also on the script of that scene, and he signed off, which was amazing. So I'm not sure if he's seen the movie in full, but he definitely gave us his blessing to use that clip, which was amazing. And then in terms of the Mission Impossible element, it's funny, the premise just from the get kind of felt like it had some action DNA in it, because it was like somebody setting out to like get back what's theirs. So once that sort of structure and that nugget started to feel like, okay, this is the at least on a plot level, sort of the anchor of the movie, it somehow to me felt kind of organic. I've always just been a big fan of Mission Impossible movies, of Tom Cruise, of action movies in general. And I got excited about the idea of kind of taking some of that DNA and shrinking it down to something really everyday and really human, and trying to be like, what are those action tropes and moments and devices look like if we really make them small and make them daily life and try to play them straight. And so that alchemy just got me excited as a way to explore kind of her strength and her determination. So it was, I guess it was always something I loved. And then the plot, once it sort of started to take shape, felt like there was organically a little bit of one last job DNA in there, and it just sort of felt like, all right, let's pull this thread a little further and see where it leads.
Obviously, this is the wonderful Richard Roundtree's final role on the big screen, sadly before he passed away last year. Was he able to watch this prior to that? Like, where were we kind of like filming and everything?
He was luckily. We found out that, and he was the loveliest guy, by the way. Fred and I, and all of us in June loved working with him, and he was just really warm and kind and fun to be around, and just lovely, and a really really wonderful actor. What we found out from his daughters that he was able to watch it. I think the week he passed, he was able to watch a screener of it, which was really I was really touched to know that he had seen it and liked it, and gotten to see his work in it, which I think is really really wonderful and something to be proud of. So I was really thrilled to know he got to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. So he gave some good feedback then. Must have been
Yes, we had heard through his, I think it was, through his manager, through somebody at that moment we had talked to, and saying that knowing that he had enjoyed it and liked it, which was, I was relieved and happy to hear.
Yeah, of course. And just very quickly before we wrap up as well, Fred, your next project is very different from this in Gladiator 2. And I want to, sorry to ask you this, I'm sure you've been asked about it all day. When is Thelma joining Gladiator? Right, what I wanted to know is what
Thelma's going to appear in Gladiator 2, in fact.
That's right.
I get her in there. She can flip over beds. She can ride scooters. Get her in there. What can you tell us about your role, and particularly sort of taking over Barry Keoghan? What can you tell us before it hits cinemas in November?
I can tell you that it's one of the wildest movies like ever. Ridley's in top form and is unafraid of anything. I mean, it's just like, I don't know what I can tell you, but what I can tell you is that you'll think, okay, that it's so crazy, and then there'll be more things that will shock you. Like the trailer is just the beginning of this thing. So I'm very and Paul, it's tremendous. It's just a tremendous group of people. So I'm very excited, and maybe Thelma will be killing some gladiators as well. Who knows?
We can't speak on that.
Thelma too.